Welcome to the Cross Creek On Demand podcast, a podcast for you because God is for you. Do you ever feel like you're doing all the right things, but nothing's changing? Maybe success isn't about big wins, but about showing up, even when it's hard. Today, we're talking about courage, faithfulness, and why your presence might matter more than you think. So, let's talk about it together. How would you define what it means to be successful? And when you think about a church, what would you say is successful? Like, is it the music, the message, the size, the feeling you leave with? Like we talked about last week, if we judged Cross Creek the way the world does, like bigger numbers, more programs, more stuff, we might look around and say, we've failed. And maybe you felt that about your own life too. But we also asked last time, what if those aren't the standards that matter? What if success has nothing to do with numbers, but everything to do with courage? What if staying when it's difficult is more successful than filling seats or building big buildings? What if it's more about the journey than what we think is supposed to happen? Trusting that there's more to this story, even when it doesn't look like it. We sat with Elijah in his cave. He was tired, he was done, he was ready to walk away from the mission. He was even wanting to die. And I think we've all been there. Maybe not that dramatic, but we've all been disappointed with life, with God, frustrated that we ended up where we are and not where we hoped or thought we were going. We're wondering what's wrong with us and was any of the effort worth it? But we also saw God meet Elijah in the stillness, the quiet, the whisper. And some of us needed that whisper. We needed to be reminded you don't have to be impressive. You're not alone and you're not done. Sometimes you just need a nap, a snack, and a little reminder that you're not failing just because fire hasn't fallen from heaven. But the point of life, and especially the life Jesus offers, isn't just to rest. Rest is so important, but it's what gets us ready to show up. So here's what we're going to explore today. What does it look like to show up when you're not even sure it's making a difference? What does it look like to keep loving, keep engaging, even if it feels unnoticed? What does showing up look like for you? And what might it look like for us as the community of Cross Creek? And I think we'll discover showing up is more powerful than success. See, the Apostle Paul asked those same questions. And if you've been in the church world a while, when you think of Paul, you might think of this amazing hero who started churches all over the ancient Mediterranean world. He was courageous. He preached the truth of Jesus in the face of huge opposition, even to his execution at the order of the Roman emperor. But he was also just a person, like every one of us. And when we jump into his story today, he's been run out of multiple cities for preaching about Jesus. He's been mocked in Athens. He's been beaten, jailed, lied about. And he ends up in the city of Corinth, where he tries to preach in the synagogue, and he's opposed and insulted. So he preaches to the Gentiles, and he sees some success. But by that point, he's probably exhausted, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. He's underfunded, and he's probably disillusioned. He's doing the work. He's still showing up, but it seems like Paul's considering whether it's time to move on, maybe even quit. And those are very similar feelings that we as the leadership of Cross Creek have felt looking back on our 8 years of Cross Creek. Like, is this working? Have we made a difference at all? We've been opposed, we've been misunderstood, and underfunded. So we're tired, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And maybe you've been there too. Whether it's a job that doesn't seem to be going anywhere, a relationship or relationships that just won't smooth out. Maybe you're parenting or teaching kids that just never seem to get it. You've tried to live the best life you can. You've been trying to love people, do good, maybe even serve Jesus. Maybe you even tasted some success in those areas. But you're tired. You expected more in life, and no matter what you do, it feels like the same cycle over and over. You just can't find any traction. And you're wondering, what's the point? Is this going anywhere? Should I just quit? And that's exactly where Paul was. And it's exactly where Jesus spoke. Acts 18, 9 through 11. One night, the Lord spoke to Paul in a vision and told him, "Don't be afraid. Speak out. Don't be silent, for I am with you, and no one will attack and harm you. For many people in this city belong to me. So, Paul stayed there for the next year and a half teaching the Word of God. And Jesus begins his encouragement with one of the most spoken phrases in the biblical story: don't be afraid. He's not rebuking Paul, and he's not saying, hey, you, just stop being scared. Because that always helps, right? Oh, just stop being scared. Thanks. Why didn't I think of that? No, Jesus is acknowledging Paul's fear, his fear of failure, of not being enough, and of physical danger. I think fears we've all felt, like, what if this doesn't change? What if this doesn't work? What if I don't make any difference? What if it all fails? And Jesus tells Paul, I know all those fears, but I'm bigger than them. See, our fears don't disqualify us. They make us human. So Jesus acknowledges Paul's fear, but then shows him there's something more for him. He says, speak out, don't be silent. See, just because you're not seeing the results you hoped for, doesn't mean what you're doing doesn't matter. It doesn't mean God's not using you to make a difference in your world. A few times in the past 8 years, Liz and I and the leadership team have said to each other, it was clear God wanted us to start Cross Creek. So we can trust he'll be clear if it needs to stop. And in the meantime, we're going to keep showing up. And honestly, it has not always been easy. In fact, there's been some really hard times. But if you know what you're doing is from God, if you know this is what love looks like, then you keep going. You keep speaking. You keep loving. And then Jesus says something I think we all needed to hear when we wonder if it's worth it. He says, for I am with you. Not, you're doing great. Keep going. Not, it'll get better soon, and not, stop whining already. Just, I'm not leaving. Because sometimes presence matters more than progress. When we're discouraged, anxious, or spiritually stuck, what we need most isn't a solution. It's someone. And you might not have clarity right now, but Jesus is telling you, I am with you. See, this isn't about pushing through the exhaustion, toughing it out, or delusional wishful thinking. It's about who we are relying on. If we can trust Jesus is with us, no matter what, that he is truly in it with us, we don't have to wear ourselves out trying to keep a machine running that Jesus never asked us to build. We can take a breath. We can take a nap. We can have a snack and keep walking, speaking, and loving. It might be slower than we want, slower than what others expect, slower than what we've been told works. But results aren't our job. Faithfulness is. So Jesus meets Paul in his exhaustion, his disappointment, his disillusionment, and tells him, I'm here. I need you to keep showing up because you don't see what I see. He says, many people in this city belong to me. See, Jesus doesn't just say, I see where you are. He says, I see who they are. Paul doesn't see them. They haven't shown up yet. But Jesus already knows they are coming. See, just because you don't see it now doesn't mean it's not already happening. Jesus says, just because you're discouraged now doesn't mean I'm not already working. And for us, there are many, and I have no idea how many people, but there are many people in Salem hungry for real relationships with other people and with Jesus. People who wouldn't feel comfortable or welcome at other churches. People who have been rejected, hurt, who've been told God is mad at them. People who have been burned by religion. People bored by church. People waiting for an invitation to a table, not a show. People who are starving for someone to show them they are loved, accepted, and that God and his people are for them. We might not see them, but Jesus knows every one of their names. He knows their story, and he has been orchestrating things so they are ready at the right time. He just needs us to show up. And it'll be slow work, because real relationships, real healing, real life take time. So listen, if Paul needed a whisper to keep going, you and I might too. If you're tired, discouraged, or praying your 100th, God, is this working prayer? You are in a great spot for Jesus to whisper again. Let's rest. Let's listen. And then show up. So what does showing up look like for you at work, with your family, at Cross Creek, as you face your own discouragement? Well, for some of you, showing up might simply mean committing to come to our Sunday gatherings more consistently. Not to earn extra holy Jesus points, but to keep helping create the kind of community people actually need. A community that is welcoming and open, showing up to engage in the conversation, to be a smile to someone who never expected a smile at church. For some, it might mean committing to serving, not because the church needs you, but because God is still forming you. Setting up, cleaning up, helping with the kids, helping greet people, even giving money. See, we're not just creating a Sunday service. We're creating space for the unseen ones God already claims. It might also look like purposely inviting people into your life and maybe to our gatherings. Give them one of our invite cards, not to close a deal, but to open a door. And for others, maybe it has nothing to do with church. Maybe showing up just means not giving up on your faith this week, or giving up on that relationship, or being a present parent or a present partner, still being an example of love at work. So this week, here's my invitation. Just pray the simple prayer once a day this week. Jesus, thank you for being with me. Show me where I need to show up. And then trust that he is with you, because he's promised he is, and he keeps his promises. And then show up. We're not done. We're being reformed, reshaped, recommissioned. There are people in this city who belong to Jesus. He desperately loves them and is pursuing them every day. He is inviting us to be part of their story and his eternal story. And I don't know what this will actually look like, but I do know it won't look like anything we expect, because it rarely does. It'll be difficult, it'll be scary, but it will be worth it. So are you willing and ready to show up? Are you willing and ready to show up for those in your circle? And are you willing and ready to show up as a vital part of the community of Cross Creek? It might never look successful, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to be faithful and keep showing up. See, you don't have to be fearless, just faithful. Jesus is with you. He sees what you can't. There's more going on than you know, so let's keep showing up together.